Well, hello there, and welcome to another tank review. I'm CornyBros. This is a Tiger tank review. The Pz.Kpfw 6 Tiger, Ausf H1 is the variant of War Thunder. And as with all tank reviews, if you don't want to hear this first opening bit in the garage, well, feel free, hit a timestamp in the description, and it'll take you on your merry way to realistic and simulator battles, or just if you want to see the end opinion, that's fine too. That'll be at the end of the video, also timestamp below. If you want to stick around and hear about the Tiger in a more statistical egghead way, let's do it. So the Tiger is easily the most iconic, one of the more iconic tanks of World War II. The 88mm gun, the armor, just the sheer power of this tank. It's a very large, very imposing tank. It's basically a box with a turret and a giant gun on it. And War Thunder is a 5.7 battle rating, recently upped from, I think it was 5.0. Yeah, it was 5.0. It's a 57.3 ton machine, and honestly, it doesn't feel that heavy when you play it. That's not anything to. That's nothing to do with people saying, "Oh, your physics are bad." No, that's not the case at all. There are features about this tank that make it seem lighter than it is. And after I did research on this tank, so I was interested in seeing kind of how the design came together. And you'll notice that the tracks on this tank are huge. These big old tracks. This tank as a whole displaces less weight than a Sherman, American Sherman tank. The track profile is lighter on the Tiger than it is on a Sherman, according to, of course, Wikipedia. And it's hard to believe, but it makes sense. The reason it makes sense is these tracks are so big and thick that it disperses the weight across a much larger surface area. So resulting in, if you want to think of it in PSI, or pounds per square inch, it conceivably could be less because the tracks are long and they're wide. So the pressure in an individual square inch of the tracks very well could be less. That means this tank generally will handle fairly well in inclement conditions. Now, historically, that's not entirely correct. The Tiger was prone to track malfunctions. Basically, it would throw a track or just have issues with the tracks such that it would become immobilized. The rest of the tank, other than maybe the transmission, is actually not that bad in terms of like middle of the war German engineering, which was just ahead of its time, not without the means to make the designs work. The transmission for this tank was just not strong enough to deal with the weight of the tank, so it would break down and the tracks would break down. But the mechanics of the tank are generally pretty sound. I would venture to say that of all the German tanks built that I've researched, I haven't done any I haven't really studied the Panthers at all. I would say this is probably the most effective, just mainly because they were actually able to build quite a few of these. They built about, I think it was 1,300 of these in total, I think. Is that right? Citation needed? I believe so. I think it was about 1,300 of these. Maybe. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. It might be less. No, it was 1,300 of these and like 400 Tiger 2s. But the key thing to take away from this is that this was built in a direct response to the Soviet tanks, like the T-34, the KV-1. They were unprepared for how well Russian tanks were actually performing. The KV series were very good. The T-34s were good. So the Germans kind of needed an answer for these tanks, and the Tiger is basically the answer. Tiger knocks out KV-2s, which were the bane of the German army. You'll see pictures all over the internet of just tanks obliterated by KV-2s. T-34s, this thing could penetrate T-34s at basically any range. There's accounts of a Tiger knocking out an Allied tank at 4,000 meters. just really damn far. So the history behind this tank is really, really fascinating. I would encourage you to look it up. But in terms of the game, 57 tons, like I've said, it doesn't feel that heavy, but it is definitely that heavy. 650 horsepower at 3,000 RPM, not bad. This tank across medium terrain will do somewhere between 35 and maybe 38 kilometers an hour easy. If it's flat, it will reach its top speed eventually. Not practically though. If you go downhill, absolutely, no problem. Maximum inclination, is this a stat? I mean, really, this thing can go up a 90-degree slope? I don't think so. That's a placeholder. Turret rotation speed, 7.5 degrees a second. You know, what can you do? It's a big, heavy turret. Vertical guidance, 8 degrees of depression, 16 degrees of elevation. That's some pretty good gun depression on this tank. It's basically the German average, which is better than all the other nationalities. So what can you do? Now, the armor. Historically, the Tiger's armor, when angled at about 30 degrees, was impregnable from just about every Allied tank, except for maybe late war, like American anti-tank mounted guns like M36 Jacksons, M26 Pershings, tanks like that had these 90mm guns that would just blast Tigers. But, you know, they blasted everything, so, you know, what can you do? And in the game, T-34s really struggle with this tank from the front. If you're angled, even your lower plate is hard to nail. Your upper glacis is impregnable. The turret is pretty good. The issue this tank runs into is sometimes the side armor. Now, it does have these side skirts, which are sneakily actually pretty effective. The upper part of the hull is 82mm. It's 102 at the front. At this glacis right here, I don't know how thick it is down here, but it's not 102, I'll tell you that. 82 at the side, 82 at the rear. Now, from the side, I think these skirts sometimes eat shots. The tracks can eat shots. If you get it in here, that's a pretty good shot right there. But the turret, you know, it has these little track sections on it, or I think those are track sections, but those I think count as a little bit of spaced armor. But suffice to say, T-34s, no problem. 85mm guns will give this tank problems. T-34 85s, SU-85s. Let's go look. SU-85. Let's pull some tanks up to... Sorry, I should have done this earlier, but let's pull up some tanks that, you know, this thing's going to see pretty regularly. Get one of those. Let's get an IS-1, because why not? Get out of here. Yeah, that'll do for now. And we'll throw this in, because it will see this as well. Okay, so a lot of people got this from the Summertime Madness event. This tank is fairly good at dealing with Tigers. The 57mm has great pen. If this thing takes a hit, it's done. But if it can get a couple shots off, it's going to work it. The T-34-85, fairly effective against the Tiger. The 85mm gun is powerful. It will mess up Tigers at close range. Long range, I give the advantage to the Tiger, though. SU-85, now the SU-85 can deal with Tigers from range, from base, yeah, just from range they can deal with them. So you got to watch out for these. IS-1s, same gun as T-34-85. At range, the 85mm gun isn't that effective. And the armor of this tank, it's good, but it's kind of flat. So a Tiger can sometimes get through it, but close range, I don't know, it's a toss-up. It's basically whoever shoots first is going to win. But, so the armor from the front is good. The side armor is kind of tricky sometimes. The rear armor obviously is the rear armor, but it's just as thick at the side, but it doesn't have any like spaced or sloping or anything. My main issue with the armor of this tank is the fact that it's so flat. You know, it's up and down basically. There's very little slope, like 2 degrees, whatever. You know, but that's why this tank requires angling. I would venture to say side scraping would be effective in this tank. I haven't personally side scraped with the Tiger before. I generally just kind of come around a corner and present my front like this, kind of like that, and poked around the corner. That's usually really effective. The lower glacis is angled sufficiently. But yeah, so the armor, I guess what I'm getting at with the armor is that it'll save you probably once a game. But when you ask it to save you twice, don't count on it. So it's very much so, you'll have that one moment where you're like, bang, dang, bounce that shot, sick, killed the enemy tank. But if you need another one, you're barking up the wrong tree. Don't come to this tank. Now, the ammunition and the gun. It only has two, well, it does have HE, but don't use I don't use the HE. The heat shell is the same heat shell you get on kind of every German tank, this 103mm penetration. I've never fired a heat shell, but I'm pretty sure it can be effective, but I'd only use it at close range, because it's only 600 meters per second velocity. So I don't use it. I carry a little bit of it, but I don't use it. I generally use this Pz.Kpfw. It's a great shell, 773 meters per second. Good. The penetration is good for this tier. It's just, it's German accuracy. The gun is German accurate. It's not a laser pointer, but definitely not inaccurate. 10.2 second reload time. I believe this crew is pretty good. Let's check. Okay, well, they're not that good. The loader's pretty good. Well, I can't buff that. Loader's pretty good, so it's probably actually, I don't really know what the base load time is for this. If I had to guess, I'd say closer to 11 seconds. But the gun is very powerful. If you get the first shot off, you'll either kill them or you'll damage something to the point where you'll get the second shot off. And the second shot will undoubtedly, if you hit, will undoubtedly knock out the tank. The gun is very powerful. But the tank is a little bit more than the gun. It has enough speed to be able to maneuver in such a way that this tank can actually wolfpack like a medium. One of the replays you're going to see, it's kind of an example of how tigers working together are unstoppable. But, so kind of to recap, the gun is good. The armor is adequate, but above average. So it's more than adequate, but it's not like a real selling point of the tank. The gun is the main selling point of the tank. But the armor can be effective and will save you multiple times, but not really in the same game. If you can go hull down, this tank is very strong. It presents a low kind of sight picture with this gun mantlet. Very strong. So, without further ado, let's get into some replays. So here we are in a simulator battle on the Carpathians map. We spawned in the northern side of the map. So, the plan of attack is I'm going to push around to the northwestern hill, take the hill, and then move on to their spawn across the west. Because that's generally where they're going to be. And with the Tiger, you kind of need them to run face first into you. You don't want them to find them on your flanks. This thing isn't, the turret traverse is okay, but not great. You definitely don't want to be flanked because your strengths are to your front, and like with most tanks, but more so with the Tiger because of how flat the armor is. One guy on our team decided that realized he loaded in planes with not enough points to spawn a plane. So that's unfortunate. So we're down a man basically. Would have been nice to have more. So I'm just cruising across here. I was thinking about going all the way around the hill. There's a nice little view of the tank. I'm gonna change my mind here and go up the slope with that Tiger. I'm a strong proponent of large, relatively hard to maneuver tanks need to stick together. It's imperative for survival, especially against T-34s and wolf packing whatevers they got. So we're going to push up onto this hill and stick with our Tiger buddy. And good thing we did, as we'll see. fun is about to ensue once I get up this hill. Now, notice the hull traverse seems to be really good. The hull turns no problem, which is nice, because the turret doesn't turn all that fast, but with the hull turning the way it does, it's not a big deal. Now there's a sneaky T-50 trying to get the gun down on him. I actually hit him there. I don't know what I did. Don't think I did anything, but this guy is about to get some German engineering. He thinks he can flank us. I'm gonna show him who's boss. Take that. I didn't do anything to him. I'm just getting him out of here. Just fuck off. Piece of Russian shit. Get out of here. Put him out of his misery. One shot through the belly. And somehow we have T-34s in the extreme northern part of the map. They must have just made a beeline over there. So I'm trying to position my tank to bounce their incoming shot, but also see over the wreck. There was the muzzle flash. I just tracked him, so he's not going anywhere. I think it's a 34-57, which is fairly dangerous, but I don't know if you guys can, but when I was playing, I could see his turret moving, which is what clued me into where he is. And also, I mean, that helped. I think everyone knows where he is now. That was a big shot. We just did a lot of damage to him. So I just kind of move a little bit, and then gonna reload the gun, put him out of his misery. So there's 2 quick kills. The T-50 was free. I'm glad I was able to flip him over, because that was amusing to me when I was playing. Gave me a chuckle. I usually don't chuckle even when funny things happen. And right here I'm actually telling my team that I am going to push around the west to secure this flank, and just to make sure that there's no more guys out here, because I was genuinely surprised that T-34s got around us that fast. Tiger is slow. Tiger not that slow. I actually kind of phase into the tree here. That was unfortunate. I got to back up. Back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Give it a turn. There you go. And go round the tree. Well done. Okay, so obviously they're still in the game. I was surprised. I think the reason the guy brought the T-50 is so that he could spawn twice, no big deal. And he would turn out to be fairly annoying later on, but we're not going to see that part of the replay. I'm only going to show what happens while I'm in the Tiger. So I'm coming around the edge of this hill. I feel good about being able to spot everything to my west from this vantage point. So I'm kind of just pushing forward. I'm trying to make sure that the flank is secure for the guys on the hill, because they're controlling the rest of the map. As long as no one gets around them over here. I thought that was an enemy tank. It's actually not. It's just a terrain feature. It looks like a tank. So as long as I can keep them off of our guys on the hill, we're in a good position to win this game. I just took a shot from over there and saw where the muzzle came. There he is. Okay, that was a poorly aimed shot. We're not firing a Yag Panther here. So, and he's going to be able to back up down the hill. When I was playing, my first initial thought was, okay, he's going to back up and swing out west and get around me on the flank. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make it a little harder for him. I'm going to move up and take up a new position. And I'm looking for him because I figure I'll be able to see him running. I don't think it's that deep a ditch over there. And suffice to say, we will see him, and he will feel our 88 millimeters of German engineering. There he is. You can see him in the left part of the screen. I've just spotted him. Lead the shot. See you later. He's on fire. He's blown up. No more. Flank is for the moment secure. There's another T-34 directly ahead. There's also going to be a AAA gun, player-driven AAA, on the hill next to me. And he's going to be up the slope a little bit, like in the ruins. And this is where I make key errors in my play. I'm taking artillery fire, so I know the T-34 is looking at me. He must be, because he just called RD on me, and undoubtedly he's going to be using that artillery view to watch me and see what happens. So I should have known what was going to happen once the thing was I saw this AAA and I was like, he's easy. I can get him. As long as the other guy can't see me, I think it'll be okay. I'm looking for him. I'm like, is he on the downslope of the hill? Like, what's the deal? Where is he? So what I figured was, okay, if I push forward to like the base of the hill, he'll have to come all the way down the hill to deal with me, and I can shoot this AAA and then turn and deal with him. That was the plan. I also kind of expected that Tiger across the way to nail him. And this AAA was shooting at me, but I should never have turned towards the AAA. The T-34 was undoubtedly using the what's it called? Free cam view with the RD, and he just, as soon as he saw me turn, he jumps over the hill, puts a shot at me, lights me on fire, and lights me on fire again, burns me out. What can you do? Poor play by me. Alright, now this replay is an example of proper Tiger play. This is how I think Tigers, and actually German teams, should play when faced with hordes of T-34s and very maneuverable Russian medium tanks. We have, I think, 3 or 4 Tigers in this game. It's like 7-on-7 or so. And for the majority of this fight, we are going to be within a rock's throw of each other. We have these 3 Tigers, myself, that guy there, and that guy there, pushing forward. I want to do basically what I did in the simulator replay, just the other way around. I want to push around the west and flank their spawn in their whole position. Basically do what they were doing. You know, kind of turning around, lining up for a family picture here. I'm also checking to make sure that I'm going fast enough where I can pass that guy and not interrupt his movement. I don't think I did. I think he slowed down a little bit, but I felt like I could get through. So I don't want to go over there. It's center cap, which can be annoying. But, you know, it's whatever. So basically I'm going to push around over here at the base of the hill. Basically go the same track. Oh, excuse me. I just went on in the last game, just the other way around. Checking over there, make sure this is realistic, so there are planes above that can bomb us. So I was actually kind of nervous being right next to this guy. Just a year or two just comes roaring in and just blows us away. But, you know, what can you do? If it happens, it happens. But basically we are a pain train coming through here. It's going to be a T-34 sighted just around this corner on the hill. There's also an Su-85 downrange. I'm going to stop and take some shots at the Su-85. I don't like this bug. It's like when you sit on a hill, you slowly rotate. It's so annoying. Shouldn't happen. I don't know the range, so I'm kind of just guessing. This T-34 85, it's an 85? No, it's 57. It's the premium, model 43. Dangerous gun. That shot went clean past him. I don't know. I felt it seemed like a ghost shell almost to me when I was firing. I'm like, did that really miss? But we're gonna nuke that guy. Boom. Don't even need to scope. He's done. So I'm gonna continue pushing. My friends behind me are gonna continue pushing with me. I'm doing that slow rotate thing. You can see it. It's so annoying. Gonna miss the Su-85 and basically took a shot from him. Something you should always do when advancing on someone who is quite clearly ready for you, there's a nice hit, is randomly wiggle your armor in such a way to change the angle they're shooting at. This guy actually isn't that far away. I think the shells are still going short, but I had no idea what the distance was. Just missed his shell right there. He actually is pretty close. I was aiming high. I guess I was, I think, aiming high. I was aiming at like the reticule and then above that, but that's not where his tank is. It's a low-profile machine, so it's below that. But I'm gonna fire another shot here, but I'm just going to push into this clearing. I feel pretty good. I haven't spotted anything else. So I'm just going to kind of push around this tree into this clearing. Now I can clearly see him. It's just behind there. Boom, knocked him out. He's done. Dunzerino Cappuccino. And now there's another T-34. I think it's the guy we just killed. He is pushing on us, as he should. He's fast, he's mobile, but he's doing it directly into our faces, which is a poor life choice. I am advancing across an open field, but my front armor is facing their spawn, and I've got a pain train behind me. So someone's got to spot the targets. Might as well be me. And, you know, I've already secured another vehicle this game. I've gotten enough kills to assure I can bring in like a Panzer IV or something. So I'm feeling pretty secure. It was clever of him. He shouldn't. I guess he had to fire there. But he gets blown up. I regrettably missed my shot. Would have been nice to get the kill, but I guess the bomber got his kill and then subsequently blew his wings off. It's okay though. So I'm advancing into their spawn. My goal is to try and figure out like what the deal is over here, not get bombed, and just see what's over here. I'm debating with myself right now. I'm like, I don't want to be in their spawn because they get invincibility for a couple, like 10 seconds. And they could easily turn and put a shot on me, and if I don't get the first shot, I may die. But basically, there's no one in their spawn, which was unsettling. So I'm like, I don't want to turn because what if someone does show up in their spawn? But there's an Su-85. Turn. He's over there. I need to advance on. I need to take out him because he's flanking our whole push, which is unfortunate, really. But it's just, this was a bad situation, and then I get bombed by an IL-2. What can you do? Not a whole lot. He blew himself up, so that's pretty spectacular, though. Okay, opinion time. What do I think of this? What can you expect? Other than the fact that the Tiger has a shovel on the front, which is very useful for finding hold-down positions and making them yourself. Of course, you can't do that, but I don't know why the shovel's on the front. Seems like a good way to break your shovel. I think the Tiger is I think the Tiger's in a good place. It's a good tank. I mean, it suffers from only having one spawn but I mean that's the same with all heavy tanks. It's less prone to being just overwhelmed by T-34s because the gun has a fast rate of fire and the armor can actually deal with them. And it's also maneuverable enough where it can actually sort of hold its own. The Tiger in this game, I feel like, is well represented. It's a very strong tank. I think the armor on the Panther D is better. The turret, definitely not, but the hull armor is. But if the Tiger's played well and angled and stuff like that, it's a very, very formidable machine. It'll one-shot everything it sees. The gun is plenty good enough for what it needs to do. Especially even on maps like Curse, the muzzle velocity isn't great, but it's certainly better than what's shooting back at you. So, all in all, the Tiger, it kind of lives up to its reputation, I think, in Warzone. I think it's a really good tank. Definitely worth getting, and you kind of have to if you want to get to tanks like the Tiger 2P, the Tiger 2H, or eventually the 105 Tiger. And I feel like in like tier 4, when there's a team full of Tiger 2s, I feel like it's almost a liability. I don't feel like that in rank 3. Less so because realistically there's less 122mm guns shooting at you. They're generally 85mm guns, which give the Tiger, which are fine for the Tiger. You'll see an IS-2 every once in a while, more often than not, but most people don't play the IS-2. They play the IS-2 model 1944, not just the regular IS-2. And even then, the 122, you can bounce it if you're well angled, but it's a little tougher. So, all in all, I think the Tiger's a good tank. It's quick for a heavy tank. It's not. It turns well. the Soviet tanks are probably faster in the straight line, but all-purpose, I think the Tiger is a quick tank, and the gun is good. The armor will keep you safe to a certain extent. So it really comes as advertised. It's the first heavy tank the Germans get, and it truly is a heavy tank. It fills the role nicely. Long-range sniper, but also can brawl if given the right circumstances. So that's it for this tank review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a rating, a like, whatever. Subscribe if you feel so inclined. Don't have to, but it helps out. And I'll see you next time.